Hey everybody, it's me, Chef Beau Mac, and I'm back cooking one of my favorite recipes. This is the heritage pork from Good Ranchers, a dish that's near and dear to my heart. But I just want you to ask yourself one question. When you go to the grocery store and you come home with products and you say, why can't it be as good as it is in my favorite restaurants? Here's the answer. It's Good Ranchers. Quality is just as good as any of the best restaurants you've eaten in your life because they're serving the same product, sustainably grown, American-made, to your door, one-stop shopping. Do me a favor, try this bone-in heritage pork chop. It's gonna change your life. Tender, delicious, flavorful, great fat content. Never any hormones, never any antibiotics. This product is as pure as it gets and absolutely delicious. I'm using the loin chop right here. Good fat content, beautiful marbling. This baby is gonna do all the heavy lifting, and that's what makes it so fun. And I'm making you guys a recipe that's near and dear to my heart because I've worked with so many great ingredients in my life, but one of my restaurants featured farm fresh fare like this with little Asian accents. So I'm gonna show you literally how to turn up the grill, fire up your kitchen, and bring the heat to your family. They're gonna go, Dad, Mom, what gives here? Check it out. All right, a little marinade to start. Hoisin is the base. This is also a very fragrant, delicious Chinese condiment. We're gonna add that in the back. It already has this, like, think of Chinese barbecue sauce. And that's really what we're making here. The equivalent of American barbecue sauce. So get that in the base of your bowl. I wanna add a little bit of chopped ginger. Love the pungency of ginger, love the flavor of it. I wanna add a little soy sauce and just a little drizzle. Soy sauce is salty, but it's gonna help loosen this marinade up a little bit. I've got some vinegar, that's the contrast. Okay, this is a little Shaoxing wine, which is like a rice wine. We're gonna add a tiny bit of that in there. You know, the acid in marinades really serve three purposes. It's really to preserve, tenderize, and add flavor. It's almost counterintuitive because that pork is so tender and so flavorful already, but it's gonna just be something that adds this nice little coat of stickiness on the grill as well. So a couple other little things that I wanna add that are fragrant. This is Chinese 5-spice. I love it. When you think of Chinese 5-spice, you're thinking of a little cinnamon, a little clove going on, a little fennel, a little star anise. Really, really good. Fennel seed, delicious. Okay, now let's counter in a little bit of sugar. You know, when you add sugar to a marinade, what's good about that is usually with your proteins, they have a lot of natural sugar as is, but this will also help kind of caramelize, especially when you're doing some grill work. So I'm gonna smash a little bit of garlic, and I'm gonna chop that briefly and get that into my marinade. Garlic and pork, right? Ginger, who could go wrong? I love dishes, you know, and I love to cook. I've been cooking my whole life. But really, I mean, if you wanna be a great chef, you really gotta be a great cook. It's like the timing involved in that process. I mean, you know, and if you wanna serve great food, you can't unless you have great ingredients. And mark my words, kids, I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it. But once you do, and you enter the world of Good Ranchers, you're literally taking your game from a home cook to someone who's got the mad skills and is in the know. All right, garlic. Boom. Little drizzle of honey. That's also texture. And there it is. I have this beautiful honey hoisin ginger marinade that is gonna be absolutely epic on the grill. Smells delicious too, and as that cooks, that's gonna kind of really perfume up your kitchen. So here, Good Ranchers. But look at these chops. You can tell already, I've got a bone in, gonna add flavor here. My goals are to lightly add some marinade to this, not overdo it, because I don't want it to char too much. So it's a balance of using a good medium heat on that grill. But pork is really best, in my opinion, slow cooked. You know, this quality of pork is so tender, you know, 25% more tender than anything you're gonna find in the grocery store. Literally what you have to do is kind of just allow it to get a little char, move it over, and it's just a slow cook process. And when you cut into this with a knife, this pork is literally gonna melt in your mouth. Okay, a little bit of salt. Let's get some peppercorn on there. I love peppercorn. Okay, and then let's prep out this beautiful little brush on here. Now, this isn't a recipe I just came up for the shoot. I gotta tell you, this is a recipe that I've had at my restaurant Elements in prior years for maybe 15, 20 years. It's one of my staples. It's one of those recipes for me that says if you use the quality pork you're using and you're putting a nice light marinade on it, it's gonna change your life. And I gotta tell you, I love changing recipes and I love changing menus, but if I took this off my menu, people might, you know, threaten me or pillage the village. I mean, things might get a little dangerous, and that's something you don't wanna do. One of the things that I can tell you, you know, as a chef and, you know, as a home cook, food's not really about you, it's about the results you get from it, from the people that you love most. And when I'm cooking for 300 people a night, I wanna be able to go out in the dining room and look them in the eye and have them appreciate the same sensibilities, the same qualities I do with food. But really, the greatest compliment you can ever receive is, that was the best pork I've ever had in my life. That was the best chicken I've ever had. Chef, that wild caught fish was so amazing. Or, you know what, that prime beef just changed my life. That's what's happening here. There's your foundation. It's called Good Ranchers. It's American made, brought to you from small artisan ranchers across this country to your table. So listen and listen good. It's Beau Mac. We're gonna make some honey hoisin pork chops right now. Let's go to the grill. Oh man. Oh, just a smell. Are you for real right now? Look at those. So you know, I gotta do some Kung Pao Brussels Sprouts. Kung Pao chicken was one of my favorite things growing up, but I find now vegetables have become, you know, so much on the rise that when you can add fun little twists like that and take those you know, familiar dishes we all know and love growing up on and apply them to veggies, you can get kids to eat them, which is important. Family members can eat them, but you can also have fun and kind of, you know, trick it up a little bit. So nothing to complicated or confusing for this recipe. It's really just beautiful ingredients. We're gonna start with Brussels ourselves because they take the longest, so I just wanna split these in half. Brussels sprouts made a big comeback in the world. Cauliflower too, kale's had its moment. Think about that. It's nice to see because, you know, when you eat vegetables, just like great proteins, you feel better about yourself. You know, chop as many as you want for your family, maybe a little more for the next day, however you want it. No right or wrong in a kitchen, man. I mean, we all are born with our own flavor prints. That's kind of how food speaks to us. And, you know, I've learned as a chef is you just gotta be open and willing. And a lot of the success that I've had in cooking has come from failures. It's come from mistakes. It's come from, you know, wanting to be better and not making that mistake. And, you know, ideally, your palate and, you know, your nose and your vision, all of these things are your sensibilities that, you know, need to be developed in time. I encourage people to get out there. I love using recipes, but I do think it's important to wing it sometimes and to take chances. I think you can make some big strides that way and really just build your confidence in food. And the other thing is, you know, what's most important to me is really just if you get the opportunity to cook and you can really get your family passionate about that, that's no better time spent. I mean, you're not only spending time together, enjoying things that you love and share, but you're actually producing something, and then you can sit down and pass and share and break bread, and it's easy money. Okay, Brussels sprouts. Many different ways to cook these. You know, you give them a good rinse first, make sure they're clean, make sure they're washed off, and they're ready to go. Once they are, I mean, ultimately, it's in the pan. You can coat them in olive oil, you can season them, you can put them in the pan and bake them. I'm gonna give them a quick little saute here. You're gonna make a little bit of noise. You can hear it coming, but you're gonna get some color on that flat side. Maybe a little oil down after. Don't be afraid to get some salt and pepper on them. And then we'll start them here and we'll finish them in the oven. Okay, you know, some red bell peppers, some yellow bell peppers. Really, it's just about getting a little color on the plate for the Kung Pao. And you can kind of cut this. I like to leave these kind of in chunks, oblique cuts, they might say. You know, it's not as big as the Brussels sprout. The Brussels sprout's kind of the star of the show here, so this is gonna be a nice little supporting actor. And then a little white onion. I like to cut this kind of as thin as possible. This is gonna be a quick cook where we're gonna get a little bitterness out of this, you know, add a little texture on the mouth, but doesn't have to be cooked all the way through. I've got some fresh basil. I do have some garlic. I saved a little bit of ginger. And then one of my little tricks here too is to add a little Szechuan peppercorn. So see, they're starting to brown up a little bit, add a little color. You can go ahead and pop those in, you know, a 350-degree oven. All right, let's take a look. Oh yeah, kind of liking what I'm seeing there. Look at the color on those caramelized Brussels sprouts. They still got some green to them. They're soft and warm. All right, orange. Love having a little zest of some orange here. People don't use the zest enough. I mean, the pith on the zest is a little bitter, so you can kind of trim that off. But if you have it and you want to cook with it, you know, chicken really loves citrus and so does pork. So I like to take a little of that pith off just so it's not super bitter. You can remove this later on, but it's nice to have in there because it'll give you a nice little vibrant citrusy orange flavor. And now let's add our peppers. Don't have to cook them too long. You just really want to bring out some flavor, add some color to these bad boys. All right, kids, back to sizzling. My peppers look beautiful. Now I've got these beautifully thinly sliced little onions on here. Not looking to get too much color on them, just looking to bring a little bit of texture and a little bit of flavor. Nothing smells better than onions. I love onions, bacon, and garlic, probably 3 of my favorite smells in the kitchen. And then of course, you know, you're gonna get a whiff of this beautiful honey hoisin pork chop when you make this recipe at home. House, I mean, you know, might have to reset the alarm codes because the neighbors are gonna be going, what's going on in this neighborhood today? All right, check it out, peanuts. Add a little texture, add a little crunch. Can lightly brown those up. I wanna get in some of that fresh ginger. Remember, I got some garlic. Simple. Little salt. And then let's throw in the Brussels. Oh yeah. There you go, good ratio. Excellent color. Just right at the end, I'm gonna put a pinch in of Szechuan peppercorns. Little buds, Szechuan peppercorns bring a little bit more floral, a little bit more bitterness. They're nice, they kind of pop when you get them in your mouth. It's a nice little surprise. If you wanna break in, you know, a chili pepper here, if you like it hot, go for it. I'm gonna finish with a little fresh basil. You know, maybe one little pod split in half. Just like you'd find back in that restaurant. Yeah, look at the color. I mean, beautiful. And enough to feed the whole family. Man, I want to plate this up. My pork has been resting. It's glazed, honey glazed, and absolutely epic and beautiful coming off the grill. Oh, wow. I don't know if anybody's gonna get a taste of this today, people. I haven't had lunch yet. I know what this is all about, and you're gonna know too when you get yourself some beautiful heritage pork by Good Ranchers. I'm telling you, simple recipe, make that marinade less than 5 minutes. This pork is so tender and so delicious. Medium heat on the grill, 6-7 minutes. Kung Pao Brussels sprouts in the saute pan, you know, total of 10-12 minutes. And it doesn't get easier than that. I mean, Good Ranchers is doing all the work for you. There's your honey hoisin heritage pork from Good Ranchers with the Kung Pao Brussels sprouts. Boom.